I do here. Now I'm backwards. Let's go forwards. It won't, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I scroll down. Does anybody know how to do this machine here? Maybe I turn it off. I need better iCam. Okay, well, there you go. Conclusions. Federal government has made significant progress with ICAM, but needs to integrate ICAM processes with state and local governments. Regional efforts to promote opioid information sharing are making headway, and some progress is being made to connect information systems. Obviously need to do more to connect, say, federal and state opioid databases, for example. Further advances could be made by using creative ICAM solutions working with private sector technologies. You folks out there. First responders can expect a range of new capabilities from FirstNet, and FirstNet does plan, its plans include a consistent approach to ICAM to enable first responders to access the network. Of course, budget constraints will factor into this, and local government agencies will be constrained with their solutions accordingly. All right, let's see if we do that. I'm not sure what to do here. Maybe if I turn this off. All right, we're good. Whew. All right. Conclusions 2. How am I doing on time? 5 minutes? Where's April? She's the boss. Existing NIST standards and GSA guidance provide guidelines for the use of ICAM in the federal government. Most of you know that already, right? And if adopted, these guidelines should help state and local governments by ensuring consistency. NASA's ICAM deployment provides an excellent example of a mature program with a robust approach to ICAM that covers strategy, organizational structures, processes, technologies, and staff training and involvement. They have 10 centers at NASA, and for example, they have a ICAM expert at each of those 10 centers. So we should all learn by what NASA's doing. OMB Max.gov's Identity as a Service and Authentication as a Service provide excellent examples of shared service approaches that can be used to minimize some of the burden of implementing ICAM technologies. There are other examples of shared services such as DHS, CDM, but this is one that we studied. Is somebody doing that? You're doing it, so I don't have to do anything. I just say, please change the slide. Thank you. Woo! Boy. Observations and recommended best practices. Okay, so we identified a bunch of challenges, best practices, and recommendations. 3 areas: organizational, resource, and technical. Slide, please. Organizational. Okay, I'm not going to read all this to you, but what I'm going to do is just highlight a couple of key things. So policy, FICAM, GSA's FICAM, A130, NIST 863, OMB ICAM guidelines, which haven't been published yet, but at least they haven't been finalized yet. They've been published for review. I mentioned the importance of regional organizations in terms of improving senior leadership awareness. Obviously, you want to work with major organizations like OMB or the Federal CIO Council. And I'll also highlight under inter-organizational trust, federation. I mentioned that earlier, but clearly that is a great way to save a lot of money. And then for the system interconnectivity, create connecting tools from the field to the partners, such as HISN, DHS Homeland Security Information Network, and the HIDA systems. Next slide, please. Resources. Funding. Of course, there's never enough funding, right? But there's also a way to reprioritize existing funds, and we talked with one of the state agencies about that. Of course, you have to make the case that the benefit obtained by moving money from one area into ICAM is worth it, and that's part of the educational process. Specialized knowledge and expertise is required, such as cross-functional resources for ICAM, such as on the external level between healthcare and law enforcement, or internally, say, between privacy and cybersecurity. So the ICAM lessons learned trickle over to the other areas. Shared services, mobile apps. FirstNet has proposed a suite of apps, mobile apps, and ICAM will be part of that suite. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed that that turns out to be a very, very good thing for the cops, state and local governments, first responders. On sensitive data, the handling of it, you've got issues like HIPAA, PII, and law enforcement sensitive. We need more training on that. And then cross-functional ICAM expertise is needed, handbooks, procedures, etc. Next slide, please. Technical. And this is really what we got most excited about because you can do something about this. I don't know if it's quick, but you can do something. So I'll highlight the Agreement on Common User Attribute Definitions, NEAF. They've already done this. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. The National Identity Exchange Federation has identified what are the common user and organization attributes. So you don't have to do this from scratch. Lack of a strong link between identity proofing and authentication. Well, maintain identity proofing chain of custody. So if you have someone who enters your system and then they federate to another system, you might lose their chain of custody, so you don't know who they are, that you don't know what kind of authentications they have or what kind of identity they have or permissions or access. So, but you have NIST 863, which helps with that. And then again, NIST 863 helps on the next one for remote identity proofing. And then lastly, the difficult to use strong authentication solutions. You have FIDO, provides strong, standards-based strong authentication solutions. So you have, they offer a whole range of technical solutions. I don't know, how many of you are familiar with FIDO? Richard is, a couple of you other folks. Well, take a look at what they're doing because, for example, a local police officer could hang a key fob around their neck and then plug that into their phone and that will provide much more security than typing in a username and password. You know, it costs something. Sometimes it costs too much for the local government agency. In fact, most people would agree that most local government agencies, police officers can't afford, or let's say the state agencies can't afford to provide, so local cop uses his own phone. Well, that has certain custody problems if that phone is subpoenaed or whatever in a case. So you want to avoid as much of that as possible, and FIDO can help that process forward. Next slide. So this was our team. We had a terrific team, I have to say. It was we had Terry McBride was my other co-lead from Booz Allen, and then we had folks from a whole host of who's of the corporate and government world. And Mike Howell, as always, was our leader or facilitator, and he made it really happen for us with Terry and myself. Next slide and last slide. So that's how you reach us or reach me, and then Terry's not here, unfortunately couldn't make it, but you can also reach him. He's a highly technically experienced ICAM guy, so you can reach out to him as well. And then I can take any questions from anyone. Questions? Gosh, I was that good that it didn't generate any questions. Okay, well, nobody? Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. You feeling good? Yeah. Feeling good about Imagination ELC 2018? Yeah. That's my job today, is to make you feel good about registering and coming to this conference, because it is going to be the most exciting ELC we've had yet. So with that, I'm going to ask you to do the slides, because I'm not going to try to do what Chuck did. So can you go back, please? Oh my gosh. Okay, so as you all know, it's coming up October 14th through the 17th. Our theme this year for the conference is Innovating for Mission Delivery. And the planning committee, a stellar group, which I'm gonna show you some of the people that were part of this planning committee, but that was our guiding light, and everything that we did in planning the content for this conference is all about looking at the many dimensions of how we work together to improve mission delivery for the government. If you want to know more, and if you haven't gone to the microsite, please go to imagination2018.org. It's really a great site. It gives you the ability to look at the agenda by track, by day, by venue, and to really see all of the sessions that are being planned and the speakers that we have coming so far. We have fantastic chairs, too. Can't have a good conference without them. Tony Scott is our industry chair, and Leslie Field is our government liaison for the conference. My partner in crime here has been and will continue to be Darren Ash from USDA. So without this group, this whole thing wouldn't have been possible. We also have a fantastic planning committee, and there are a lot of people here today from the committee. I want to just sort of recognize, look at this list. This is not even half the people that are involved in making this happen, but I do want to ask the people that are here today, please stand up and be recognized. If you are part of the planning, and I know there are a lot more of you than that, thank you so much. And please, during the networking, if you would ask any of them or me any questions at all, we'd be happy to answer them for you. So this is kind of, we talk about a reimagined ELC, and this is kind of at the center of it. It's a new venue, it's a new city, Philadelphia, a great historical city that is going to provide a lot of opportunities for outside activities that we've got planned. But it's also a much larger venue. This space that you see here, this is one contiguous space that we are going to set up, and it is twice the size of all the ballroom space that we had at Williamsburg in the past. So it's just going to be a dynamic, open environment where we have our track sessions happening. We have a new component called Center Stage, where we'll have TED Talk-like presentations happening all day long, Monday and Tuesday. We have the Techno Showcase, which is another great add to the conference format. We have innovation hubs, 4 different innovation hubs that are government-sponsored, focused on topics that are timely in terms of what we're doing at the conference: emerging technology, modernization, cybersecurity, and customer experience. And in those sessions happening in Techno, you'll be able to roll up your sleeves. If you're the kind of person that really likes to dig in and work solutions, you'll be able to participate in human-centered design sessions that'll focus on various topics in those areas led by the government sponsor. We also have, for the first time ever, and this is really cool, I think we've actually, some of the members who are here today that have recently joined the organization are also participating in our partner pavilion. We're going to have 39 industry IAC members, along with government agencies, who will be showcasing their solutions and capabilities during the full 2 days of the conference within the showcase. The cool thing is that it's all together. When you come in, you're right there in the partner pavilion area, and all of the activity will be focused there. Next slide. So our 4 main tracks are modernizing for mission success with some sub-track topics. And I know this is hard to read, but go to the website. It's all there. Business innovation, embracing the digital revolution. Enterprise resilience, moving to the edge, another key topic for concern today. And empowering the workforce in the digital age. We have 24 different sessions happening over the course of the 2 days in these 4 tracks. The Techno Showcase I already mentioned, and gave you an idea of the topic areas for these innovation hubs, but here we're also identifying the agencies that are sponsoring these hubs. So if you have an interest in projects at a particular agency, this is where you want to be. Also, I mentioned that we have, if you can go back one, I'm sorry. If you go back, this illustrates that in addition to the government sponsor, we have member companies sponsoring this area as well. We have 20 different member companies who are participating in this activity, with the government. And some of you are in this room. Thank you. The center stage is really going to be awesome. There are 13 sessions happening over the course of the 2 days. Most of them are short, 20-minute TED Talks. There are a couple that are a little bit longer because the topic deserves it. But if you can read this, we've got sessions focused on the opioid crisis, where we are 100 years after the flu pandemic and how technology is changing things, security, many different topics that are of wide interest to everyone in the audience. Okay, next slide. Now I want to introduce Steve Krause, who is also one of the leaders in the planning committee.